Relaxing almost seems like a radical act
Yeah,
these days.
I know, it
You know,
does.
and
It
it's
does.
hard not for people to not have a kind of inner judgment
I
around
know.
it. And I was just thinking, here we are with this incredible technology that's
Yes.
allowing us to communicate with people all over the world, which is fabulous and wonderful. And I know in my own life, technology has become, you know, a problem. And it almost seems in the West that technology is almost a religion in itself. You know,
Yes.
this belief that we have. I mean, it's an addiction for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And how do we work with that? Here we are all plugged in, and it can be so overstimulating and so mental,
Yeah.
and so difficult to really experience ease and presence when we're constantly bombarded with iPods and iPhones and all of it. People are just wired
We're
and
just constantly plugged in.
just,
Well, it's important to unplug.
mm-hmm.
It's important to unplug sometimes. I mean, on the one hand, it is very thrilling, actually, to be in this much contact. Not just here today on this webcast, which is wonderful, but the ways that we're able to keep in touch with people across distances that basically we just couldn't ever before. And a lot of that is it's keeping families connected and friends and a way that we're sharing information that we can appreciate. So it's good to also appreciate why we're loving it and why we tend to get addicted. But, and I did speak about this within the last 2 weeks on these webcasts, very important to sometimes unplug. I think there's hardly any exception to that rule. There may be some people who are built in such a way that they thrive on it and it doesn't affect their nervous system and they are better off with it as a full-time experience. But for most of us, take a break. Whether take a daily break if you can, and occasionally take a longer break. Just have a fast from it. Mm-hmm. And let yourself come back to its own equilibrium, its own quiet rhythm, I notice for myself when I've been away and in a quiet setting and unplugged, and then I come back to my busy workaday life. I notice initially, in a sense, the harshness of having to be so plugged in and answer so many emails and have so many balls in the air and dealing also with technical problems, which the technology comes with as well. And I'll notice the transition from the calm and the quiet into kind of a gearing up of like, okay, it starts up again. And then I get into it, I'll start galloping along with it, but I'm aware that there will come a time when I have to take a break from it again. And if I thought that I had to just jump in and keep going at that speed and have all these technological wonders to constantly be dealing with, I think that would be an oppressive thing hanging over my head. So for myself, I know that I'm going to be taking breaks, and I do look forward to them.
And you give retreats that are weekend long or many
sometimes
days
longer, yeah.
Longer and
residential or non-residential.
Mm-hmm. And one of the intriguing things, I haven't been on one of your longer retreats, but I think you've mentioned that you do some gazing in nature or just some looking at beauty. How can you say more about that?
Yeah.
It just sounds so good thinking about it.
Yeah, well, we usually at the end of the daylight of the day, right before the evening meal, which usually occurs around 6 o'clock, we usually have a kind of sunset gazing, whether it's meadow gazing or lake gazing or ocean gazing, and then later in the night we might have sky gazing, where we're just together. You're not staring or anything like that, but we're just together, hanging out, eyes open or closed, but mostly people are eyes open in those cases. Let's say you're just looking across, a meadow, and you realize, oh my gosh, the thing is totally alive. There are all these little insects buzzing all around and birds flying in and out, and all kinds of happenings are going on in this, just in this meadow. You're just meadow gazing, and you're almost communing or being at one with nature in that way. You're really merged in a very present way, and I love having those types of those scheduled into our schedule, because it gives people a way of being in nature from then on. Just hanging out, very present, and just letting the visuals and the sounds and all of it just almost enter your own cellular structure, or it. And a powerful part of the retreat. Mm-hmm. And then people tend to be in that as they're walking around in the day as well.